Yep, we're back again with another review for Oddie's Airsoft. And today we're going to review the Thunder B grenade by Hakkatsu. Now, this looks like a real steel grenade. Has a pin and a spoon. The idea being you pull the pin, you flick the spoon and you throw it. There's a CO2 cartridge inside. When the spoon is flipped, cartridge is pierced, gas fills up into the canister. When it reaches breaking point, it does so at a noise level of 150 decibel. Now, you have to remember something. At 100 decibel, air damage can occur. So be careful where you throw these things. I don't recommend them for indoor use or CQB use. Other than that, these are a great toy. People fill them with BBs. They can fill them with powder. Some people don't fill them with anything and use them in a natural state. Unfortunately, when people buy these, they sometimes can run into minor problems with them not firing, as you may have seen already on my videos. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips today that will give a better chance of them working straight out of the box. So I'm going to show you now how to set these beauties up. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks to help these grenades fire off more readily. When you buy your kit, you'll notice it comes with a number of parts, and at first it can be a bit confusing. But basically you have the firing pin, you have a little plastic washer, and what you must do is you must put the little plastic washer onto the little top hat here, pin side, and you have this knurled piece of metal. This must screw down, and you must screw it hand tight. Now the next piece is the pin. The pin drops in like so. Just gently push it down. This is the casing that will hold the CO2 cartridge, which I'll show you now. And basically you screw that in to the device. Now, some of you have noticed already that I've got red tape on this. This is for when I've thrown a grenade and the grenade shell itself has broken open. I can recognize that it's my grenade, because usually when we play there's at least 3 or 4 of these going off at the same time. Now, what I would advise you do now is to set the hammer. The way you do that is this hammer, as you can see, is spring loaded. It's quite strong. So what you do is you take your pin and you drop it into the first hole halfway so that the hammer gets held. Pull back the spoon and then replace the pin into the primary position. And what I always do for safety is I just bend that pin slightly to stop it being accidentally pulled out. So that is now all hand tight and ready to go, and it's lock and loaded. Unscrew the bottom part and insert your cartridge, and then just basically tighten up the thread, and when it comes to the top, just nice and gently. Now, it's a bit of a trial and error with these grenades, in as much that sometimes the pin, when it's fired into the CO2 cartridge, sometimes it doesn't pierce it deep enough and the CO2 is slow to release. What you can do is on this part here, you can put into here a little 2-cent coin, so that it pushes the cartridge further up so that you get a better penetration of the pin. Now, I'm sure everyone has told you, never trust a soldier in the bush with Vaseline in his pocket. But this is dead handy for these grenades. What we always recommend is take some Vaseline and wipe it round the thread of the grenade shell, like so. So when you're winding up the device, again you lock that as tight as you can go, and what that does is it stops any loss of air pressure around here, meaning that it will burst open much better, much quicker. Again, you probably have noticed I've got tape around this part here of the grenade, and also on the pineapple. Sound flash has it too. The reason for this is A, for identification, but more importantly, when these break open, when they explode, sometimes they can rip all the way up and into the thread, and it can make it a real bugger to get them off. So by putting the tape round here, I've got easy identification, but also if it does start to tear, it tends to stop where the tape starts. You may not be able to pick this up, but it's been done on the pineapple and the sound flash. I have scored with a knife, without breaking it, all the way down the last section, the last quarter of the grenade. And again, this helps it to burst open at the bottom, and because of the scoring you make weak points, so again it'll burst open much quicker. Those little tips, the coin, the Vaseline and scoring, all help to make these work much more effectively, and I would recommend you take a few minutes to prepare them. As I said, it's a pin. Pull the pin out. Some people who are brave will wait to see and feel this shell expanding under the pressure of the gas, then they throw it. That is personal choice. I don't do it myself, to be honest with you. People often put in BBs into these. You need to check with your site that that's allowed. Also, some people put powder in. Rule of thumb is anything that goes inside the shell will mean that it will explode quicker, and if you overfill them, they can explode almost immediately after releasing the spoon. So you've got to be careful. These things you have to work with, you have to experiment with to find out which works best for your grenade. Now, the last tip I'm going to show you is probably the most radical tip, and that is to show you how to get the grenades to detonate almost immediately on releasing of the spoon. Now in gameplay, what can tend to happen is when a grenade is thrown, it can take too long to actually explode, and the opponent that you've thrown it against can either kick it away, rendering it ineffective, or worst case scenario, you can actually pick it back up and throw it at you and it detonates against you. Sometimes we need these grenades to cook almost immediately, and the way you can get them to do that is to take your inner chamber where your CO2 cartridge sits. You put it into a vice grip, and then you must drill about ½ an inch back from the end of the thread, which is about here. And if you drill a very tiny hole using the smallest piece or bit that you can find, and drill a hole straight through, as I say, if you drill it, it means that when you pop the spoon, you can throw it immediately, and within 2 to 3 seconds it will detonate because you've got more gas expanding into the shell. So that's it for Oddie's Airsoft on the Thunder B grenades. I'm going to show you a little bit of footage of the grenades being used, and we'll see you very shortly.
Hey Robbie, that's how I found the first out of the barrel. Dad, come in a little bit more. Is that friendly?
No, sorry.
He's got bodies on the other side.
He's brave, he's playing now.